Hey everyone, this is Jaxie, and today we are going to get excited about history with Decisive Campaigns Warsaw to Paris. And this is the Case White scenario, and right now we are doing some scouting with 3rd Army. I'm really hoping to get all of the setup I need this turn to be able to take Warsaw in the next 2 or 3. I want to scout out, and you guys will notice, if you are eagle-eyed, I've made a serious error over the last couple turns and left the Polish Air Force intact. And you guys will see as I move throughout the turn here that it's going to come back to bite me. I'm trying to clean up some bridges, get my recon, but really, we are going to just be making a push across fronts. I'm at the point where I really can decide in a nice little pocket here if I want to do Warsaw or not. And as this turn unfolds, I think it would be easiest to not go for Warsaw. But I'm going to tell you guys what, just to show off how awesome this game is and how accessible it is, I'm going to see if I can do both. If I can get the Warsaw victory and the everything but victory. And so here we are cleaning up 3rd Army. They're now pocketed, and if I can push them back, lovely result there with artillery, then I can get this out of the way and make sure the entire eastern edge of the map is open. So those tanks, I like that they're exposed. I'm going to think about hitting them in a little bit. And there is nothing in front of this cavalry. I have to just keep pushing. Warsaw does generate supplies, but if you see, I am so close to pinching off some salients, and I gotta go for this. It's not maybe the smartest idea, but I have to try to cut off so much of these northern units. I don't have recon on some of those areas, but eventually I'm just going to have to go for it. And right now I'm looking for any exposed division. So laying down some artillery and good results, 400 men killed. You'll notice one regiment of the 12th Division over there by the 20th Polish got mauled. They attacked it from 3 hexes, and yeah, I have to start returning the favor. Right now, I'm at 3% casualties, so we're still taking it to them. We're knocking their tanks back. I don't think tank units that small are going to be able to do anything. And really just trying to free up some corridors, push these into manageable pockets. I don't want to hit that 10%. I'm only a third of the way there, so my casualties aren't too bad. But, you know, Poland's only at about 3rd casualties. I can start pushing them back. The problem in this game, if you get too bypassy, is that eventually too many units are going to survive. And they will be able to form a ring around Warsaw. There's enough light urban and full urban hexes that their defense is so good it just takes too much time to dig them out. And I'm not going to give that to them. I'm going to be hitting them here on the flanks, weakening these units, pinching off a regiment of the 41st Polish Reserve Division there. And yeah, that regiment right there, the 3rd, is just mauled. No problem with that. Now, with my recon, I can see they're going to give me Rozan, and I'm going to take it, have some nice defense, and I'm hemming them in. Even if I don't get the big pocket down there by Warsaw, I'm seeing I'm 1 hex away from a much smaller, more manageable pocket. But I have to beat these units up a little bit, make sure they don't have the action points or the strength to be able to push me and shove me away. And really just reducing all these. I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking worst case scenario. What if I can't get the big pocket? Can I at least form some little ones? And yep, shattered a regiment. There's my small pocket. Getting 1 step closer. So even if they're able to withdraw and my engineers cannot hook up to the south, I have some options here. And really just doing a lot of thinking and plotting. I don't have the casualties to spare to get real cute here with 3rd Army. But I gotta take the attacks where I can. So any exposed artillery, I'm gonna do that. It removes their integrity, their readiness, some action points. I don't want to push across that bridge, so I'm going to move over here to the 1st Corps and 21st Corps and then start looking at 4th Army. I have a little bit of cleanup to do. There's these couple pockets of resistance. I have some bridges that I have to unblow. And there's times, I think I've said in other videos, where this can almost feel like busy work just because this part of the field is decided. But there's also a little bit of satisfaction that I've made these pockets, I've done this operationally. I've made the moves to cut guys off, and now I just get to watch them put their hands up, surrender, and the panzers get to keep on moving. Not a lot of good attacks there. My supplies are better. I don't know 3rd Army. I'm just trying to keep them on roads. I'm trying to keep some of the units closer together. I still am not sure why the supplies got so bad in the first place. I think that was just Panzerkampf being way too far away. But it's all sorted itself out. I've got a lot of Polish units out of the way. And right here, same thing. I just want to have more options for where supplies can come in from Frankfurt. And 200 men there, shoved them back. Unfortunately, that took up far too many action points. It was fields. It was a weakened unit, but they're going to have to wait till next turn to destroy them. And here I have this nice little salient. The trick this turn, and I'm going to have to be really deliberate with my attacks, can I pinch all of this off west of Warsaw? And so I want to recon a little bit, draw some of their fighters out. Unfortunately, they're still going to have some heavy intercept, even with me scouting around. But I got to start breaking up these units. You'll notice there's a lot of open fields right there. And I want to pinch that off. Now, I'm not worried about anything over here with 14th Army. I know I have one light panzer division cut off. But looking at my victory points, I'm not concerned. I just need to reestablish communications, and I'll be able to do that. There are a ton of units in this pocket. This pocket is massive, so I'm really just going to start trying to reduce it. I'm going to hit it with artillery, and then hit it with the multiple hex bonus. I don't like that they have counter batteries. I'm not happy that I have to deal with that, but it is what it is. I'm going to move this unit down. Try to get rid of the militia here in the emergency divisions. They really are, regiment, excuse me. They're not a huge threat. And even though they're off of the road, the problem is you can see near 2nd Panzer, they touch the road. And if I don't get them out of there, or 2nd Motorized, they're going to be able to just delay, and that zone of control is going to keep biting me. So I'm just looking around. I don't know, trying to figure out what unit would be best. Kempf is still recovering from me throwing them way far to the west. So sometimes what I like to do when I can't decide where I want my thrust to be, that's when I do this kind of counter pushing, bring up my rear units. Gives me a minute to think about everything and kind of ponder, look at my cards, think about air. Sometimes just chewing it over helps. In the beginning, I know a lot of people get command paralysis. I would, not for this game. I think the opening moves can be important because you start getting the breakthroughs. But these are the turns where you have your breakthroughs. Some of the units are just streaming back towards Warsaw, and how are you going to cut them off? If they get there, you're going to have horrible fights in city hexes, and it's not impossible to win that type of war. Like, I've done it in play-by-email, but you're sitting there watching September 23rd get closer and closer, just dumping artillery and bombers, and because I have not hit the Polish Air Force enough, that's just not the war that I want to fight. I have these big, beautiful pockets. I've had a lot of luck with salients and pincer attacks, and Eastern Poland right now is getting torn up. So I really just want to make these last couple encirclements where I can. And finally here, I decide, okay, I'm going to start reducing these pockets. I might take some casualties, but I'm going to dump a ton on them, get them out of here, and I can start moving this infantry up and not having to worry about things in the way. So, yeah, a full division and change, plus a lot of support units. I'm going to hit them from multiple sides. I've got great concentric bonus there. See if a little artillery will soften them up. And here I get so lucky because they counter battery me, and I do not take casualties. They lose some guns, they lose some mortars, some machine guns, and I take nothing. So freebies all around. Make my life easy right there. I decide that the best thing to do, I really just have to bite the bullet, give up a mobile regiment to start clearing out these guys. Lose 100 men, but that's going to free up 2nd motorized and get them out of the zone of control. Right here, these panzers, they're my furthest unit away. That's why I like to bring them up. It might not be an entirely realistic in a I-go-you-go system that you get to bring rear echelon units up and then attack with them to have reduced zone of control for your forward units. I know War in the East, if you flip hexes, it will punish you a little bit with movement points. Not a ton, but they try to acknowledge that. Here, it just works, and I'm going to keep doing it. It's part of the game. Now, see, with all these units out of the way, without any of those zone of control woes, I can really start getting close to Warsaw. Those engineers have been looking at it for a while. They've only been 40 miles away from the outskirts, 60 away from downtown. Now I'm going to bring up my mobile units, and 10th is going to be my hammer, I think, 10th Army, but 4th is going to be the anvil. If I have 4th here, I can block off this whole string of regiments just trying to make it to the east. You'll see I want to trap them on the west side of the Vistula River. And, yep, or Vistula, I don't think Polish does the SH sound like that. I'm going to hedge my bets a little and use 3rd Panzer to make a smaller encirclement. Kind of like I did with 3rd Army, this is just me making sure if my ineptitude doesn't allow me to get the beautiful grand encirclement, can I get something? Can I delay them? And that's what I want to go for here. Other than that, just do my artillery. 3rd is going to slice through them. It's panzers in the open field. One thing that is interesting to note for this campaign, you'll notice that my panzer divisions are really, really tough. One of the reasons people might think that this game is a little easier than the other ones is that these panzer divisions, and historically that was the table of equipment, have 2 panzer regiments and 1 motorized infantry regiment. And when we get to Case Blue, the German army had lost so many panzers and was not able to completely refit them. Plus, Hitler wanted more panzer divisions, even without having the requisite tanks. They just started making it so it was 2 motorized infantry regiments and only 1 panzer regiment in a division. So, interesting historical thing. If you guys like tables of equipment and whatnot, I find that absolutely fascinating. Here, though, we get the good stuff. We get the 2 panzer, 1 infantry, and right there, cleared out a big thorn in my side. And now we can get Radom back and open that up. I mean, we hold the city itself. We have the victory point. But I want to spring out the 3rd Light Panzer and just everything start making a northeast push to Warsaw. Because that's the goal. I got to be real deliberate here. In case they get into the city and do fighting, I have to make sure all my headquarters are in range. I'm getting the bonuses. I'm creeping real slow with the engineers just because, unfortunately, their recon is not good. And it makes sense. They're not meant to be a combat unit. They're meant to be a support unit. But creeping forward, I want to reestablish the pockets over here. Have my infantry up in case it turns into a slog. But right now I'm not concerned. It's September 11th, and I have some units real close to Warsaw. I'm threatening a couple encirclements over here. I just have to be very deliberate. The 29th Division, the 39th, the 36th. You can see that there's a lot of Polish meat right in front of my panzers. I'm going to take some easy bets here. Try to reestablish this encirclement, because I just don't want anything going north and supporting Warsaw if I can avoid it. Most of 36th is there. Doesn't bother me. I'm thinking about Lublin. I really want Lvov. I mean, if I get that, I'm going to cut off a second supply point. And then if I can surround Warsaw, any units caught between are just going to rot. And yeah, this is just whittling down and closing on these victory points. With the victory points, I think I can have either one, but just moving forward. Fourth here, I could attack Legionnaires, but their morale is so high. I want to try to make an encirclement. If I can get there and link with Second Light, and it looks like they might let me. Will it go? Yes. So advanced units, my motorcycles, my recon. Another pocket. Got rid of one of the legionary divisions, or legion divisions. I'm going to see if I can push their artillery. And they make me pay for it. I wanted them off the road. I wanted to make sure they couldn't reestablish, but a couple hundred men it took to get a support unit out of the way. But that's fine, because my panzers are just going to be open. There's one unit blocking a rail line. I can't have that. I have to be able to use that rail line to go east and get to Lvov. And it is a militia. They haven't taken a ton of casualties. I don't have full recon, but it looks like the readiness is 100%. I imagine it can't be, but I want to make sure I'm not going to do... See, they're a 46 against a 59. I know they're just infantry with BARs, but they are in light forest, so they're going to have a bonus defending, and my panzers are not going to get anything useful out of an attack. But I'm trying to bring up enough stack units and hit them from enough sides that I can just get the city open. I would like to move past them, but if I can take this rail line, that's good. That's going to give me movement. 3 points over stack, not a huge deal. 300 men, and shoved them out of the way. That battle is nothing to write home about. I don't think I'm pinning on any medals for a 300 against 400 casualty battle, but if you see here, now I have some options. I'm over the river. I'm within striking distance of Lvov. 1, maybe 2 turns because I'm going through the woods. But yep, pocket reduction time. And this is the fun part. I really want Krakow. I want to start giving them casualties pretty soon. The Soviets... And there shouldn't be any issues with variants. It should be historical. But the Soviets will come in and backstab Poland and reduce their morale. Poland starts with absurdly high morale. It's like 134 or 133. So I gotta find ways to whittle down their national morale before the Soviets get in, start making their units depressed, and make those casualties go up. In a campaign, if you let too many Polish units escape, there are escape zones at the northeast and the southeast portion of the map. Then when you go to the French campaign, they'll actually get Polish legions, and France can use them. Now, I'm playing these scenarios disconnected just because I want the historical experience. That's what I'm into. I've done the full-length campaign quite a few times. But you don't want those units out. You don't want the French to have 50,000 experienced Poles who've seen all your tricks. And I might get another good encirclement here. I'm real close, and I probably should have been a little further south. I'm threatening, but not quite going to make it. I can isolate Warsaw there near Brest-Litovsk. That's another one of the final cities I'll need. And now I've done a lot of these side moves. I have to start thinking about where I'm going to make my push. And it's a little overwhelming. I'm in such short frontage here that a lot of these 10th Army and even some 8th Army units are shoved up on each other. And because they've been fighting and been pocketing and doing all of that, they're a little mixed up. And I have to find that balance between wanting to have full action points by having whatever unit is closest, and then wanting to keep units together so you get that little bit of unit integrity bonus. And here I'm looking to see if I have any magic cards, because if I can cut this Lodz group, I would just be so happy. Talking about getting excited about history, that would be basically the game. Then I could just artillery my way through Warsaw. But they're going to make me work for it. You'll notice the 39th, they are fully green. They have not been engaged in a lot of combat so far. And they're going to put up a fight. Right here, Poland's Air Force, like being their MVPs. I just should have bombed it on turn 2. Turn 1, I was so big on opening those holes as big as possible. I was excited. I was kind of wondering why, man, this game is going better than normal. And I forgot to take care of the Air Force. And now I'm just at the point, I don't see them, but from earlier recon, I know they're on Warsaw, and they are defended by a flak unit, a headquarters, a detached artillery. So it's just rough. I can use fighter support, but if I try to bomb Warsaw, their flak is going to do so much damage to me, it's not worth it. However, even when I get good results on these airstrikes, like here, they only take down one card of planes, but it wastes all my action points, and then I don't have time to damage the actual units. And here, just hedging my bets, is many cuts. Death by a million cuts. There we go. So that engineer's done. I'll repair this bridge if I get the chance. The only problem is I'm not so sure about these engineers yet, because 300 men, not bad. I don't want Lair to have to worry about their zone of control. So I'm going to have to figure out something to do with Lair. Moving other Panzer units up. I thought about it. 3rd is going to make that cut, but the rest are going to bypass. I want to be east of the Vistula and the Bajura when I make my encirclements. And this group, I've been toying with them for a while. I've got good bonuses. It's going to be bloody. I'm going to have to give up some. But there we go. So many counters off the map. A couple of regiments lost 300 each. That's going to move up my counter towards that 10%. But I'm not worried. Nothing about this campaign worries me. I want it to look good. I want you guys to see how much fun it is and be able to experience the thrill of Blitzkrieg. That's really the one concern. I don't want to limp into Warsaw on the 23rd with some dinky infantry. I want you guys to see the triumphant procession. But historically, this isn't that far off. Heinz Guderian in his accounts talks about how lead elements from 3rd and 4th armies were near Warsaw within the first 2 weeks. It just took them extra days to make sure that they could assault the city. It's one thing to get in the outskirts and get near it, but it's another entirely to start going through fighting suburb to suburb and all of that. I've got to move my planes up. The action point movement is negligible compared to what you lose flying from a distance. And air and artillery is really going to be how I push these units out of fields. Even with the Polish Air Force, anything I can do to their readiness and their integrity is something I have to do. Now here, we'll see if the boys can pull it off. I have an artillery regiment for Poland that's totally green. Happy, barely lost anything. They're still in the high light green. And then that cavalry brigade, they're not having it. They're about done. So who is going to win as far as how easy that attack is? Hammering the 29th. The 29th, the 39th, these units are pretty fresh, but if I hit them enough times, I feel like motorized infantry and panzers should sweep them aside. And that's what we're going to go for. That little wedge might look menacing, but really, I just have to blow open a hole, encircle everything I can. And the city fighting, I really just have to multi-hex it, use my artillery, use my air power, and use all of that. Now, these units, they're in the way. I want to spring open the artillery units that have been sitting back for some of my light motorized and light panzer divisions, and I'm going to see if I can do that. I don't need all of you. They were like so gung-ho there, like, yeah, Commander, send in over a division for one little unit. And you know what? I almost should have done it because they just ran out of Jews. It's amazing to me. Poland has the ability to do that in the campaign, or if you guys ever play by email, they can raise these militia units that they might only have BARs and rifles and small arms, but man, like a single counter of them is 7,000 men? 6 or 7,000? Sorry, yawning up a storm. And it's just ridiculous how well they defend. You put them in a city, you put them in like light forest, and they will do their job. So unfortunately, I think I'm just going to have to bypass, go around, and then shove them out of the way when I can. It wastes movement points, but I've already launched one attack that wasn't successful, which means I've hit my stack limit on that hex. And you don't want to compound failure with more failure. Once you have that stack limit, if you launch an entirely separate attack, the game engine will let you. It'll treat it as a new instance, but it will roll each unit attacking with the penalty of being overstacked, and so you have higher chances to take casualties. And I'm excited here. Every hex I advance is one step closer, and every unit I can shove means that Warsaw will be less and less defended. If I can get Warsaw to 1.5, maybe 2 divisions, then even if it's more than one turn, it'll be easy pickings. But I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy me talking everything out this much. I feel like as a war gamer, especially if you're trying to grapple with a game this complicated, it helps to hear the thoughts and the mechanics and what's going through my head. But also, you know, I make videos that I would want to watch, and when I watch an after-action report or a Let's Play, I kind of like the narrative. I mean, it's weird. One of the reasons we play war games, you start feeling like these are your little army dudes and they're your men. You get to know the units. You get to know which ones are disappointing you, which ones are great, and add a little bit of drama. In this scenario, it's just, as you get closer and closer to Warsaw and that time limit nears and nears, it's just so good. it makes you feel so constrained, and I absolutely love it. I don't know. I think Case Blue is a better game technically and definitely more balanced for play by email. Barbarossa is just masterclass. I think it does so much to bring some historical realism, and I'll put up a link here so you guys can check out my review of Barbarossa and why I think it gets the history right. But this one does these early campaigns. It's such a competent engine. It's just the right amount of detail. Absolutely love it. Even when I'm doing stuff like this and bringing up my reserve divisions and my backup divisions, but you can see these pockets are getting pretty skimpy, and every regiment with support units, it's 3,000 to 6,000 men. I mean, they're losing a lot of possible defenders, and Warsaw's going to get cut off from the east, and I'm going to cut off their northern units. And I'm scouting around. I think it's going to be possible to get both victories. I really do. 10th Army, we'll see. How brave are they? I might need a second regiment here. Yeah, I don't like that. It looks weak, but the 19th Artillery, yeah, they fled, but I was still glad it didn't take too many movement points from 4th Panzer. You just don't want to end up with running out of action points because you use too few units. Shove them again and keep the momentum going. I'm attacking with panzers into a city, but this unit is so beat up that, yep, gonna shatter it, gonna move in there, and oof. They have a decent stack there. They're going to make a run for it, but I'm so close to pinching them off. I just have to do what I can this turn, and then next turn I have to be very deliberate. Now, I move a lot of counters to the 29th here. I really, really thought about attacking it. I want it off of that rail line. Poland's not stupid. They're parking on the rail line. They know they don't want to give me that much access to Warsaw. But I'm going to hit it, see what I can do to it. And even with recon support, just being fighters and things, only planes are going down. There's just so many units, and I don't have full attack points. I don't have full action points with anything. I'm overstacked there. They're even overstacked. They're over 100. And I would rather try to shove them here to the east now. That's going to be the new plan. And go around the 29th. I can bully this single regiment. I'm real glad that for such a new and strong division, they're going to give me that, where I can rip apart a lone one. That's going to give me a 2-hex corridor. It's not great, but hopefully if I can shove them here with a follow-up attack. And nope, can't get cocky. 400 men. Even though that regiment was just beaten, it had just lost, it had just taken a morale hit and a readiness hit. This game factors in all of those things, and they're not going to let me use an equivalent stack attack against defense in that manner. But if you notice, I have a lot more movement options, and depending what I get here, losing 15 tanks. Not the best thing that could have happened, but I'm moving them out of the way. This is the tough part of the campaign where you're not just going around everything. There are units that you will have to get out of the way. I have a follow-up there. Nothing much doing. So, after farting around, I look. I want to see, if you click that button and remove counters, it's sometimes real easy to see which units have already attacked and which ones have not. And so if they have a black circle with numbers in it, it means you've already made an attack on that hex. And it lets you know not even to bother, just save some clicks. I'm figuring here with artillery and air, if I can get that unit out of the way, it'll further split the 39th, and then the 29th Polish will just be done. Nothing. I've finally gotten rid of all those Polish fighters, and the best I've gotten their readiness down to is 81. And it's just making me nervous. But 2-on-1, I was hoping for 1-on-1. Not brave enough to do it. 2-on-1, got it. And right there, just 60 miles away from cutting off all of those units. I'm going to try a follow-up attack, but unfortunately, it's in the light urban, so I just don't know. I don't think it's there. But we are going to be successful in cutting off the 29th. I don't want to attack it after all. It's just not worth it. But I can pocket it right there. And then next turn, I have some options. The outskirts of Poland, I mean, if you see there, the outskirts are only 20 miles away, 40 to 60 for some other parts. It's happening. This campaign is happening. We are going to take Warsaw. There is no doubt in my mind. But as a backup, if we don't, we just take everything else. And here, a lot of consideration. Lot of bombing. What's nice is if I can hit them hard enough, they won't be able to recover all of their readiness between this turn and next turn. And so this is setting up for the future too. And I'm just going to look around. A lot of thinking this round. This one, even though it's 44 minutes, it wasn't my longest turn. It was a puzzler because I'm getting so close to Warsaw, I just can't afford to waste too many moves like that. I know it was a follow attack on a weakened unit, and it was equal casualties, but it just did not work out. And here, I don't do my recon. I try to send my engineer unit over. I get so excited about that salient, and then I do it again. So 1,200 engineers died because I was hoping for a home run that just doesn't exist. But if you look, 31,000 men to nearly 300,000 Poles, it's almost 10-1. I'll take those odds. In most of my Barbarossa campaigns, I found, especially as the Soviets, like 10-1 does not last long. So anywhere you can get it, you can get it. I just have to move all my mobile units up. A lot of them are going to start in contact. They're going to take a penalty from that, but that's okay. I have to think about future turns. I'm not looking in the past. I am looking towards do some cleanup here. Finally, that Grenzer, I just throw him in blindly. If you do that and you get ambushed, if you have enough an advantage in the ambush, it won't do anything wrong, and then you can just do a follow-up. And time to reduce the Krakow pocket. I've flung most of my mobile units around as far as they can go. I'm going to keep moving up support, keep moving up the 5th Panzer. But really, the south is just about bagged. I'll take my shots where I can. And 900 men. Open field artillery. The Germans have such strong artillery in this game. It's really nice. And in the opening turns where you have to create those holes that you're going to throw panzers through, it's about the best you can hope for. And here, even though those guys have been pocketed for a while, some of them are just not ready to give up without a fight. And in this pocket, you'll see as I unfold it, I'm going to do a lot of artillery. I'm going to take attacks where I can, but there are times where I end up with 60 or 70 action points. And you'll notice 144 recon. Anytime you're over 100 recon, at least you can tell if a unit's there or not, so I take Krakow for free. But anytime I don't have full action points, if they're in a pocket like this and it's infantry units way far away from the action, I'm just going to wait. I'm not concerned about the time limit as far as that goes. And here, low casualties, reducing these pockets. Every turn they're going to get weaker. Every turn my units are going to hem them in more and more. Be able to get these beautiful concentric attacks. And go from there. just shelling and shelling and shelling. But no issues. I'm excited there. If you see that 10, that's a motorized unit. Poland doesn't have too many of those, but where they do, it's really nice to be able to take them out, so they're not going to rush to plug some gap at Warsaw or Lvov or Brest-Litovsk. Any of the three areas that, quite frankly, those are the three areas about which I care at this point. Cleanup crew, I feel bad for these units. I mean, they would not be getting medals. They're not getting the glory. They're not riding on the tanks, doing any of the glory work. They're the ones trying to reduce these pockets. And historically, that's pretty true, too. Within this next week, I hope to have up for you guys a book review on Heinz Guderian's Panzer Leader. And, man, the poor infantry, they had to deal with a lot. Even in Barbarossa, the panzers would do these beautiful slicing movements that on a map look like these wonderful pincers cutting off the enemy. And the reality of how many Soviet units were able to squeeze through or keep fighting within or become partisans and fade into the population. This was not the job anyone wanted. And it wasn't glorious. And the infantry were getting left behind. And then the panzers would just have to wait eventually because these pockets would be so unstable. The infantry had to reduce them and had to do stuff like this. I mean, the scale of this campaign, this is 2 days. So you imagine, I first pocketed Krakow over a turn ago. So for 4 days, these infantrymen are just fighting cut off troops in the city. And, miserable. Some of these just not going to take. Don't need it. Not worried. And by now, I've done most of my moves. It's just cleanup. I'm going to get my headquarters closer. But, yeah, I am threatening in a lot of places. I'm not worried about Lublin. Przemyśl, they're almost done. It's really just Lvov and Brest-Litovsk on one option or getting to Warsaw on the other. Because Poznan is about to be mine. They really repulsed me last turn, but this time, I don't think they can do it. They're done. I'll take the Grenzers out. I'll be nice. Yep, one corps attacking from all sides. Doesn't matter if there's rivers and there's urban hexes. They're not going to be able to do anything. So, really just clean up at this point. Within a couple days, I'll be bringing you the next 2 turns or so. I think this will be wrapped up in 2 or 3. After this, we will be continuing with the Fall Gelb scenario. But in the meantime, I've been uploading close combat videos, and I'll have a couple other surprises. But thank you guys for sticking with so long. I'm really excited to see the end of this one. I've been excited, too, to see how many people are into this game. I know there's just been so many improvements in the series that people forget about this one, but it's a good place to start, and it's a lot of fun. And even play by email, just do the free setup. If you give Poland some extra units and let them decide where to put it, I mean, they can really make the Germans work for it. Victory points, I am 6 victory points away. So Warsaw would give it to me, or Przemyśl, no issues. Lublin, no issues. If I get to Brest-Litovsk and I get to Lvov, it's over. So at this point, 2 ways to make it over, no concerns. Third, let them be. No reason to take the casualties. But if you guys have been enjoying, please like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from you and interacting with the community. And stay excited about history. I hope to see you guys in the next video.